Welcome to Podcast 188. Is the team that you need functioning the most your executive level leadership team, but you don't know how to do it? If that's even a little bit true for you, stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody. I hope you are doing well, and that is not a trite little saying for me. That is serious. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying away from this horrible virus. I hope you're looking forward to 2021. I've got a really good feeling about this summer. I hope you do too. Even if we do have some small difficulties and trials, let's pull together and have a great, remarkable, just absolutely wonderful and focused year. So tonight I'm going to talk about something that I'm really, really passionate about, and that is the development or the professional development and the team development of your executive level leadership team. And so even if you're, an employee in the company, if you're a worker, if you're a new employee, a project manager or an executive or an owner or whoever, it doesn't matter. This podcast applies to you because we need our executive level leadership teams high functioning anywhere they are, because it's absolutely crucial. And I'll give you just a little bit of background about me. I have been able to work, and so the credit goes to them. The credit doesn't go to me. I've been able to work for and around some of the most dynamic and wonderful project executives, project directors, operations managers out there, at least from my personal experience and in my spheres. They're great, wonderful people. And then I had the opportunity to be a project director myself and to be a field operations director and to work as a general superintendent in those executive level leadership groups. And so I'm very passionate about that. And I remember back, I can't remember how many years ago, it was probably 6 or 7 years ago, I was actually asked to develop a checklist, a role description for a project executive. What are the key things that make a project executive successful? I remember having a really great time with that and being able to present that. And that kind of started my passion for, how do we get that group really high functioning? Because whatever that group does, meaning the success of that group, is really the success of the company. Are they working as a team? Are they cohesive? Do they trust each other? Are they having healthy conflict? Are they aligned? Are they heading in the same direction, right? So that's what we're going to cover today. I really think you're going to enjoy today's podcast, so please stay with us. Well, I want to hit you right out of the gate, like right now. Here's one of my favorite quotes ever, just all-time favorite quotes. Here it is. Security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. And that's by Helen Keller. And so I love that so much, I'm going to say it again. Security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. And I do want to preface this by saying there are so many times that society brainwashes us into being good little worker bees. And I'm not here to take down the man or our historical norms and our traditions and things and tear down our society. But I will say that even some of the simplest things like owning a large home or having a 401k or making sure that we have that steady job or going to a university, being advertised as absolute crucial steps in our careers, in our lives, just absolutely isn't true. And the security that they bring sometimes holds us back from where we need to be because we're holding so tightly to it that we're leading from a fear-based position and not going out there and taking daring challenges. We're not speaking up because we're afraid to lose our job. We're not doing that daring thing that we wanted to do on the job because we don't want to lose our job. We're not investing our money in this wonderful opportunity because we're so addicted to our 401k. I love the book, Killing Sacred Cows, where Garrett Gunderson takes us through some of these things. It was the first time that I was ever taught that, life is to be lived. And yes, all of these wonderful things like large homes and 401ks and these secure systems and things that we rely on, they are important. But man, I have seen and talked to and been around so many people that are just abjectly miserable in their jobs, just absolutely hate their lives, just absolutely hate being there. And they get paid a large base salary. They have retirement. They have their bonus structures. They have their incentives, their stock, their phantom stock, or their S units, or their VSOP, or whatever it is. They have these things, and they're like, I can't leave because of security. I can't do this because of security. I can't change my life and make this correct decision because of a need for security. I can't do this because of security. I can't have this conversation because of a need for security. And it's like, guys and gals, like, I don't, hey, I get it. It's a fearful world. Even me going out on my own in business, like, that's a pretty dumb move. Like, I'm in a position in life where I can just rake in the dough. You know what I mean? Do a decent job, go do what I need to do. I have tenure, rake in, a couple, 2, 3, over $300,000 a year. And like, I'm jamming. Like, my family can go out and chill on the boat, do our thing right now, but that's just not me. You know what I mean? Like, I need to make decisions in life that will lead out of some of those secure things when necessary, when it's inspired, and to be able to leave a legacy. Because at the end of the day, it's all about family, right? And if we're miserable, we're bringing that home. At the end of the day, it's all about our mission in life. And if I'm miserable at work, stuck in a secure situation, I'm not fulfilling my mission in life, right? It's about fulfillment, right? And if I'm not in a job, in a situation where I'm fulfilled, then I'm wasting my life, right? So let me get this straight. So we're in secure situations, in jobs we hate, to protect an environment where we're coming home and being miserable, so that we, under the pretenses of living life, can make money, just so that we can not live our lives, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. I love this quote. I'll say it one more time. Security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. And I really like that. And I remember some of the quotes from Garrett Gunderson. Actually, he was talking about 401ks. Actually, he said, if somebody came up to you and said, I want you to invest in a business deal, we're not going to tell you how, we're not going to give you any say on how we run this business. And in 30 years, if we make money, we'll give it back to you. But if you want to take that money out ahead of time, we're going to penalize you, and we're going to do whatever we want internally in the company at this percentage, at this interest rate, and it's going to be mandatory. Nobody would sign up for that deal. Nobody would invest in that business, but that's what we do with 401ks all the time. And I've been, brainwashed my whole life thinking that was an important thing. And to a certain extent it is. We shouldn't rely on other people. So I'm not saying, rely only on Social Security or welfare. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I personally think that we should also consider, real estate investments, starting a business, opportunity costs. What are the opportunities in life that we want to invest in? And maybe that's on the table as well. Maybe that's where we put our money. Maybe that's also an option. And so the reason I make this clear is because it's been on my mind, and mostly executives are miserable because they're there. And the industry calls this isn't specific to one company, but they have the golden handcuffs, right? They make so much money, they feel like they can't quit. And I just want to say out there, there's no reason to not live a remarkable life. Security is mostly a superstition. And if you have that dream, or you have that desire to go travel the country, or you want to change that job, or you want to start your business, or you want to invest in something else, or you want to make that hard decision, or you want to have that Jerry Maguire moment with your company because you have integrity, or whatever, then why not? This is our only life, to my knowledge, where we get to go do these things. And so I appreciate you letting me hit you with that right out of the gate. So let's get right into it. There's a couple of things here. What am I excited about in life? I have a vision of and this is what I'm passionate about. It's not being selfish. We really make some ground when we do this. I have a vision of being in a large conference room, fitting hundreds of people, maybe even thousands of people in there in the construction industry for a paid event where we are going to over deliver, where when they leave, they are fundamentally committed to making change. Because most people have motivation, but they don't have commitment, right? Where they've experienced something that will pull them out of their comfort zone and into the learning zone, into the growth zone, and actually go make a difference. Most of the time people know what they want. They've read what they want. They've even sometimes seen what they want, but they haven't gotten leverage against the consequences of not doing that enough to actually go make that change. And I really imagine myself with the microphone, just like Tony Robbins does, high energy, music, movement, dancing, interactions with people, real world knowledge, people making progress and driving forward and leaving those events in a wonderful way. And one day actually also doing like a construction project makeover show. And so I'm excited about that because everything that I do leads in that direction. And maybe I don't make it, maybe I do. But if I don't make it, at least I'm paving the way for somebody to be able to fill that crucial role. Some people, just a real quick rant for me, some people make fun of Tony Robbins. They're like, oh, that guy's a fake or he doesn't do this. Just real quick. I have personally seen the thousands and thousands, not the hundreds, tens of thousands of people, their lives that he changes. Real change. I've been there. I've been to the events. I've seen it. I've experienced it. It happens. I remember one time he was selling in one of the events that I was at a business mastery course, which I'm going to take this year. It's $10,000. So at the time I didn't have the money. I do now. Or I will. I'm going to earn it. Fantastic. And there was a person next to me, and I asked him, I looked over and I said, by chance, have you been to any of these? And he introduced himself, and he said he owned a cleaning company from the East Coast. And he said, Jason, because I introduced myself, he said, I just go ahead and sign up for these events every year. I just go ahead and get my tickets. Once I'm done, I go buy them again every year, even though I've already been. Because every year I want to make key progress towards becoming who I want to be, and these help so much, and they kickstart me. They're fantastic. And I said, well, okay, well, thank you for that. That's fantastic. I'll do the same thing. Have you been to Business Mastery? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, okay, so shoot me straight here. Like, is it worthwhile? And he just looked over at me, straight-faced, no drama whatsoever. He's like, well, when I went, I had this size company, and within 6 months of getting back, my company tripled in size and profit by 3 times when I got back. So total revenue, but also profit, meaning, net income after bonuses and taxes and all of the other things and overhead and everything else that he has to pay. It tripled. And he's like, so it speaks for itself. So I would highly recommend it. And I should have put it on my credit card at the time and just paid it back. And gone, because I would have been able to do the live event before COVID-19. I kicked myself, but the bottom line is, even with the doubt, even with the criticism, even with the naysayers, this system works. The human race has found ways to motivate individuals and families and human beings to be more than they currently are, more of themselves, not somebody else. And so that's what I'm excited about in life. I am going to get there, and one day, and on this podcast, I'll celebrate it. One day I'm going to be in front of a large crowd with the microphone. Right now I get to be in front of crowds of 60, 70 people. When I get to a crowd of over 500, we're making massive change. I'm going to report to everybody back on this podcast. And by the way, if you're listening and you're ready for that, let's go. Let's do this. I'll show up for 9. You know what I mean? Like, let's get this done, because at the end of the day, it's all about human beings. So let's talk about some feedback here really quickly. Here's some feedback from one of our listeners. I've listened to a few of your podcasts, and so far I love everything I hear. Your topics are right on, especially in line with what we are doing in our company. I am a union laborer that has just earned the role as a general foreman. I let my company know I aspire to become a superintendent. I plan to listen to all of your podcasts, but wonder if you could recommend any books, seminars, or classes that could help me develop into a great general foreman and eventually a great superintendent. Now, as I'm reading this, I'm like, have I said this before? I don't think I have. I responded back to him. So I responded back to him in an email, and I'm really excited because this is a payday. We are reaching for this group of workers and foremen and people coming up in the construction industry with these messages. And this shows to me, hey, we were able to provide feedback to help him along his way. And I am just super excited. So thank you to you who sent this feedback. Hopefully you get to podcast 188 and you're able to hear this because you're special and we believe in you. So what is changing in the construction industry? What's changing for me is that executive level teams will have to be more cohesive. So I'm going to leave it at that and tell you that today our sponsor is Vplanner. I've talked to you a couple of times and I've avoided a little bit, the rote scripts when talking about a sponsor because I want to talk about it from my heart. A client today sent me a little snippet of video of Vplanner and some of the cool things that you're doing or that they're doing. And I responded back, I'm like, yeah, I used them at DPR, I used them at Oakland. We have active accounts. I love it. I love that software application because it really formats in the graphical user interface, to use my terminology, in a way that lets us visualize the data, the information. So again, whether you're doing TAC planning or pull planning or the last planner system with the entire system, or even using it for a CPM-esque scenario, or you want a weekly work plan that will format into a Scrum format, Vplanner is your tool. And when I learned CPM and was reading the books and doing the research, I didn't just dive into the software. I went back to the basics to learn about the critical path method. And the first thing they taught us was precedence diagrams. And I love that the stickies tie with logic with little arrows. It's essentially a precedence diagram, which then, and as everybody knows when we're talking about databases and scheduling, can then go into CPM, can then go into Last Planner, can then go into TACT, can then go, it feeds all of this information. The basis of what we're doing is a precedence diagram because it has that logic for us to be able to use them in any of these systems. And so I hope I'm not getting too technical, but I have found it simple enough to be super, super effective. We're using it the companies where I work, the clients of mine, they're using it on IPD projects, design build projects, and pre-construction with the designers, with the trade partners. It's reasonable. Some of these Last Planner tools will say, hey, you've got a big job, we're going to charge you $75,000 for the job. And I'm like, what? Say what? Like, say $75,000? Like, why don't you cut off my arm? Vplanner is very reasonable with their pricing. They're not only are they like, okay, so I don't want to say this wrong, but they're like it's cheap compared to the value. The software and the company's not cheap, but the pricing is so reasonable. It's like, wait a minute, are you serious? Like, are you joking me right now? Like, it's so good and it's so inexpensive and it's so reasonable and such a good tool, and you get such good support from those folks. I just wanted to mention our sponsor, and I reached out to them to be a sponsor. They didn't reach out to me at first. I reached out to them because I believe in their mission and what they're doing. And so I just want to mention our sponsor for today, Vplanner, and those wonderful folks over there. Samir is the one that I always talk to. So here's some conflict for you today. You're going to love today's podcast. We're going to have some fun right now. Your executives need to be the ones out of their comfort zone the most. That's the conflict. That's it right there. So if we're protecting those folks because we're scared of them and we're like, oh, I'll train the lower level leaders and hope that my executive team gets it through osmosis, we're headed in a bad scenario. And let me tell you just a quick story. So I was working with a client and nobody knows who this is. Don't guess. You're not going to guess the timeline. You don't know who this is. So if you think you can kind of do the ties and then I'm bad mouthing them, you can't. You don't know who I'm talking about. So, but I will just say there was a client once where they needed some executive level leadership, and there was training happening within the organization for lower level positions, right? And so I had done a proposal, and that's the farthest it went, for teaching senior project managers and project executives, project directors, that executive level group. And the proposal was denied. All of the other proposals went through fine. I've had a lot of proposals with companies go through with remarkable results. Like when people mention the training, the boot camp afterwards, they stand and do a round of applause. Not because of me, but because the training is remarkable, right? And then the training for the executive level group is turned down. And when I dig a little bit, I dig, then the answer that I got back was, well, I don't want them to quit. I don't want to push them away. If they had to actually perform and do some of these things in these camps or in these programs, in these processes, I'm afraid they'd quit. And I'm like, well, hold on. Wait a minute. You're telling me that you're afraid and you're going to deny this proposal. And that's fine with me. It's their company, right? But you're going to deny this proposal based on the fact that you don't want the people leading your company, leading your teams that are in charge of certain departments and areas of work. You don't want these people to get offended and leave, but yet you're going to put 10, 15, 50, 100 people underneath them, not to mention the hundreds and hundreds of workers underneath them with poor leadership and a lack of cohesion because you're afraid that they might leave. Like, we got something way backwards here. And so I'm noticing that in most companies, they're like, yeah, I'll train the field engineer, I'll train the PE, I'll train the PM, I'll train the super, I'll train the assistant super, I'll train the foreman. But I ain't going to train the executive level team because I'm close to them, I'm scared of them, I don't want to deal with the negative feedback. They're too sharp to make a difference with. I don't want to do it. And you know, people are like, this is way outside my comfort zone, right? But that's the group that needs it the most. So let's talk about some principles here. You need bottom-up training and leadership, but you also need top-down. And Patrick Lencioni always talks about how the executive level team, the leadership team in your organization has to be team one. It has to be high functioning, building the team. They have to know their clarity, communicate the clarity, and then reinforce that clarity through human systems. And your second tier, your team two, your executive level leadership, that team has to be cohesive. Otherwise, there's silos, politics, turf wars, the stealing of manpower, dissensions, just all kinds of, you know, the negative, normal unhealthiness of a company, which causes us to waste time and to go backwards in a lot of instances. And the cancerous behavior because people are fighting, there's all that infighting, right? So that's what happens. We have to focus on team one, and I would say also team two. And then the project teams need to be just as important, but they are team three. Where's team one and two? We need to build those teams first. So that's the principle. And you have to focus on your leaders. So if you're a CEO, if you're a president, if you're a vice president, I mean, it's time tomorrow to start building a course or a training or an event, or to send them to Report Leadership International, or to research professional development, or do something that gets them together. And I do want to say one thing. Leadership retreats are not garbage. You will find, and I love introverts, but I'm going to tease you guys just a little bit. The people that will say, oh, I don't want to go to a fluffy retreat or something like that, are usually the introverted people that are more logic-based, observant, that aren't into the human element. Well, newsflash, people are the ones that lead other people. We don't have logic and paperwork and data leading other people. So we're going to have to enter that. We're going to have the right facilitators. We're going to have the right people leading us in these leadership retreats or in these seminars or in these boot camps, and it has to be done. So if you have somebody dissenting, it's probably just because they're protecting their environment, because it makes them uncomfortable, but it has to be done. So I get it. There's all these people out there that are A-type personalities. They're aggressive, they're smart, they're independent, and they're your executives. But they need professional development. There are things they don't know. They are stuck with the same, what do I want to say? Like the same brainwashing from society that forces us, invites us back into our comfort zones. And so we need that professional development training to get out of it. And here's what I'll say. If you send your executives separately to trainings, it's not as effective as if you can get them together. Like if somebody said tomorrow, and this is where it gets out of like the hundreds, or if somebody said, I've got 5 people in this group, or I've got 8 people, 8 executives, or I've got, with my executive assistants and office managers and the people that work together every day on that executive level, I've got 12 people. Man, I'd be drooling. I'd be like, I've got the agenda, I've got the tools, we've got the people, I'll be there next week. Let's carve out a day, let's carve out 2 days, let's get this done. You will head in a direction with vocabulary and energy and enthusiasm and speaking up and being past their blocks of leadership and going and doing great, wonderful things. And let me talk about that really quickly. Let me cover one thing. I learned most of this from Tony Robbins and from Rapport Leadership International. So At Rapport Leadership International, they have a Leadership Breakthrough Course 1, which is over the top, just a butt-kicking course, like hardest thing I've ever done. And then a Leadership Breakthrough 2, where they take the team through, and it really shows you how to group into a team. And I've done professional coaching courses, and there's a number of different things. So all this combined, and actually another professional leadership, professional development course through one of the companies that I once worked for. So all of this training combining, in addition to like things like Wood Badge from the BSA and church training and all of these things, I've combined this stuff into a model with processes that works. And we show a portion of that in Field Engineer Bootcamp and in Super Bootcamp and in PE Bootcamp, but the full gamut would be perfect for executives. Now, am I trying to sell something? Kind of. Not really, though. Because if you want to do this, I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to head your way because I believe in it. Because training those 12 people will affect 120 people. That's number one. Number two, I do have to make a living. But number three, you need it. And whether or not you get it from me or somebody else, this is a must. And let me explain this principle. There's 4 different zones, and I'm sure you've seen this graphic on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, but there's the comfort zone, the fear zone, the learning zone, and the growth zone. I first saw this at Tony Robbins. In the comfort zone, you feel safe and in control. When you're in the fear zone, you have a lack of self-confidence, you find excuses, and you're affected by others' opinions. In the learning zone, you deal with challenges and problems, you acquire new skills, and you extend your comfort zone. In the growth zone, you find purpose, you live your dream, you set new goals, and you conquer objectives. Now, the very thing that CEOs are afraid of when it comes to training their executive level team or anybody in the company is the exact thing that is needed to go from the comfort zone to the fear zone to the learning zone to the growth zone. Meaning, pushing somebody emotionally violently out of their comfort zone is the key. Nobody's going to walk up and say, hey, I'm out of my comfort zone right now. No, it's going to be like, all right, you're in front of 30 people. Some of these people you don't know. Your drill instructor has just told you and called you by your last name and said, you need to give a 5-minute extemporaneous speech with certain parameters, volume, projection, enthusiasm, and to be on point for 5 minutes. And when you get up in front of the room, you would rather be burning to death or be doing winter camping. Like, it is the worst, most excruciating thing you've ever done, because this human element of being outside of our comfort zone is what we fear the most. So when people are like, oh, I'm about to leave this training, this is garbage, conflict, do I stay, do I go? I'm offended, I don't like it, I did like it. All of these conversations are what CEOs fear, but it's that exact kind of pushing that is needed to get people to higher levels of achievement. And so that's the focus. When I get into an event and like we're literally with the team failing them in a certain process over and over, and I'm not yelling in an aggressive and abusive way, but yelling, why, I can't hear you. Are you on break? Are you ready to go? Like, is this team ready to win? You failed the last one. And like motivating them to just break out and let go of their fears and let go of their blocks and just perform, and to form a ritual, a ritualistic, habitual habit of performing outside of their comfort zone. When it can become muscle memory, that's when they'll become great leaders. In fact, Brandon Montero taught me that the other day. We are a reward-centered leader when we want to go back into our comfort zone. And so through these processes and these camps and these leadership development, we change the reward center, the reward network, to experiencing discomfort, to experiencing growth, to experiencing contribution, to being outside of your comfort zone, to be learning to be in something new. So that when that leader is in a situation where previously they would have been incentivized to take the safe route, to not speak up, to not have that conflict, to not make that dynamic decision, instead of being rewarded to go back in where they feel safe and in control, they're rewarded to be in the growth zone, to find their purpose, live their dream, accomplish their goals, and just win, right? And that only happens, the clinical answer is through practice. Meaning, You can't show it on a PowerPoint. You can't tell people. You can't just read a book. They have to experience it over and over and over with the right vocabulary over and over and over with other people who have the same new paradigm over and over and over, and with the accountability of the team and the CEO. And if that happens, they will change and they will start performing. And instead of having to control everything from the center, you'll be able to trust these executives to branch out and divide the company into smaller, more nimble units and win. And the organization can scale, make more money, be more effective. It's absolutely over the top fantastic. So this is the way, to quote the Mandalorian. This is the way. Because, and I want to say one more thing. Listen to the comfort zone definition. Feeling safe and in control. When human beings in their paradigm have historically felt safe and in control, what will happen when you push them out of that? They will start to fight you. They will start to get aggressive. They will start to dissent. They will start to get quiet. They will start to politic. They will start to do things behind the scenes. They will start to fight the system. And so when people are like, oh, we're doing this training, well, such and such complained, or this is not sure about this, well, so-and-so like almost left. Good. Like that's what's supposed to be happening. We're identifying the people that weren't bought in, and now they have the choice to be bought in or to self-select out. Like this is how the system works. Would you rather have peace and have a bunch of people in the organization that aren't heading in the same direction, or would you have a little bit of conflict and progress where the team that you ultimately end up with is high performing? And I already know my answer. You have to answer that for yourself. Because again, security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men experience it as a whole. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. So what are you executives waiting for? What are you CEOs waiting for? What are you presidents waiting for? What are you owners waiting for? It's time to get out and make a difference. So there's a couple of characteristics of a leader, and I want to share this with you. Number one, they have to have vision. Number two, they have to have a sense of self-worth and esteem. They have to value themselves or accept themselves. Number three, they have to be able to make hard decisions and take action, whether it's popular or not. So here's something you have to think about. And if you're a president or a CEO out there, I want you to answer this question for yourself. And I'm going to read it as if I'm you. If I'm continuously having to motivate my team, I either do not have a vision or I haven't communicated it to them. A continuous need to motivate is a result of not effectively empowering my team in a vision. A vision-empowered team is self-motivated, and I would add to that, if they have the autonomy to do so, and if they have made it past their blocks to leadership. And so that's pretty self-explanatory. Let me hit you again, and you've heard me say this before, but I'm going to hit you again because I love this. I'm loving me some of this. You are a wimpy leader if. And your executives are wimpy leaders if. And your people are wimpy leaders if. Your greatest business goal is to stay within budget. You are preoccupied with being liked or with not being disliked. You reduce goals and performance standards because you think the staff or the team can't meet them. If you have been known to say, we tried that, it doesn't work, or when contemplating new ventures, you emphasize the dangers of failure instead of the potential for success. And if your decisions are safe and not particularly innovative, that makes you a wimpy leader. And that makes me a wimpy leader. And I'm going to give it to you straight with some straight talk because you wouldn't expect anything less at the Elevate Construction podcast. So here's something I want you to know. I've mentioned this before, but there are 16 key blocks to leadership. And most leaders have this. So the company, first of all, needs to go through the process of getting a purpose, a vision, a mission, their big, hairy, audacious goal, their values. Where are they headed? What's most important right now? What are the standard operating objectives? What are the defining objectives? Where is our organization headed? What is the vision of our organization? And I can help with that. I do that. I'm not so much heavy on the finance piece, although we can do that. There are some consultants that do mostly finances and data analytics. I'm mostly where are we headed and do we have the team to do it? Because most of the time there's a CFO on the team that in the right seat, functioning properly, knows all of the finance pieces, right? So if the company has built that team first, developed that clarity, communicated that clarity, and set up clarity to human systems, meaning they know where they're going, they know the vision of their company, that's step one. But what good is that going to do? And man, I'm jamming on this. What good is that going to do if you have a bunch of leaders that are so blocked in their leadership that they can't take the journey to get there, right? So you have the vision, you've given them autonomy, you have the right organizational structures in your company, but now they still have these blocks. Let me read them to you. They want to be liked. They're closed-minded. They play savior with their favorites or with people. Lowercase s on that one. They fear risking and making hard decisions because of a need for certainty. They're indecisive. They have low expectations of others because they disrespect others. They're too critical. They're controlling versus empowering. They have low self-worth, low self-esteem. They only focus on problems. They lack purpose. They have a fear of being embarrassed. They won't enter the danger with clients or their employees. They have a fear of rejection. They have to be perfect. They have to work hard. And so these blocks are bred into us. They're programmed into us. Like for instance, in order to get the love of our parents, we said we have to work hard, right? And so I want to be a hard worker. I want to be loved by my parents. I'm going to go be a hard worker. Well, now, block number 16, having to work hard, that's a block because busyness and motion are actually waste. Why not be the leader that scales communication? So if you're out there shoveling when you should be creating clarity and leading your organization, you have a block to your leadership. How did you get there? Because you had a need for certainty and significance from your parents or from other people that taught you that. And so now what it took you to be a good worker is not going to get you to be a good leader. So of the 6 human needs, certainty, variety, significance, love and connection, growth and contribution, leaders need to get out of the certainty and significance game and into the growth and contribution game. They need to get out of the blocks to leadership game and into the, hell, I don't care what I look like. I don't need to be liked. I'm open to anybody's opinion. I'm confident enough. I'm not playing savior with people because I'm only hurting them. I don't mind risking because I'm here to do the right thing. I'm decisive when I'm going with the team. I expect high things from other people whether they like it or not. I'm going to empower my people, and if they make a mistake, I get it. I have high self-esteem and self-worth because I deserve good things. I'm going to focus on the opportunities. I know what I'm here to do, and I have purpose. I don't care if I'm embarrassed. I make stupid decisions all the time. And I don't care if you reject me. I'm going to do my best to be there for you. I don't have to be perfect because I'm not. And I'm going to stay in my station, and I'm not going to get busy with doing the busy work. I'm not going to be in the thick of thin things, right? That kind of leader that's gotten out of those things and out of the need for certainty and significance can be in the role of growth and contribution and be that amazing leader. And so when we do professional development training with executive level teams, we teach them to operate at a high level, regardless of their level of comfort. And Brandon Montero first taught me that. And we do that by getting them past their blocks to leadership. Because your leaders need to speak up. They need to say hard things. They need to be able to give 100%, which is 10 times harder than you think when you hear me say that. They need to be able to give other people energy, to be supportive, to not silo, not hold back from fear, be able to make great decisions, but also know where they fit within the team. And that group, those directors, those executives, those general superintendents, whoever they may be, they need to have a common language to speak and be headed in the same direction according to that vision with the right accountability systems together. And so if the company has a vision and those executives have the autonomy, the authority, the know-how, the clarity, the repetition of instruction to head in that direction, and they have the autonomy, they have the leverage, they have the authority. My next question is, have they gotten past their blocks to leadership? Together. Are they going there together with a common language, with common energy that they give to each other as a team, as team 1 or team 2, headed in the same direction, and high functioning as a group so that they know how to model high functioning teams with their project teams, where they don't need total control, where they can be dynamic, amazing leaders? That's my question. And if you on this podcast, And I'm just going to put it out there bluntly. If you know of somebody or in your company or you own a company, if you just listen to this podcast, why are you not going to do something about it? Why are you not going to sign them up for rapport? Why are you not going to call Jason and I'll get some of our consultants out there with you and really change your life? It's not me that came up with this content. I've borrowed, stolen, taken, learned from content from at least 14 or 15 different key sources that are remarkable. Why are you not taking your next step? What does it cost? It could cost $3,000. It could cost $15,000. Heck, it could cost $40,000. It could cost $25,000. What does it matter? What does it matter? One wall on a construction project that you have to rip out. One wall because somebody didn't speak up. One wall because the director didn't hold the team accountable is going to cost you $40,000, $45,000, not to mention the impacts, not to mention the scheduling delays. Why are we even talking about this? I'm not getting after you. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying it is time to build your executive level leadership team, period. Because they deserve it, because it's the key to your next step, because you deserve to work around people that are heading in the same direction. And we know the way teams function. It is not a surprise anymore. We know how it works. And so the current condition is the executive level leadership groups are usually the most dysfunctional groups in a company. And it's time to change. Either reach out to me to get references to other sources, or I can help you, or I can get you pointed in the right direction with certain processes and experiences or books. But the bottom line is I challenge you to get this training and take the next step. Here, I'm even going to say this. And this is a big thing because I've got 11 kids to feed and now I'm full-time business. If we do this with your executive level team and we show up, and you pay for the flights and the reasonable hotel lodgings and food, and you don't feel like your executives have made massive change towards being the team they need to be, and you're not satisfied, I won't charge you. Period. No matter how much the original cost was, if it did not make the life-changing, transformative progress that you were hoping, I will not charge you. And nobody else will make that promise, and I'm not selling anything. Other than what I'm selling. But what I'm saying is there are so many resources out there. You can even just Google this, professional development, and head in that direction, and it's better than nothing. And so I just want to be clear that this is out there. The vision for this is that you get to, here's the vision. You get to go to work with people on your executive level leadership team that you not only like, but you're high functioning. You can have those hard conversations. You're heading in the same direction. You deeply know each other. You have common languages. You know how to get through hard situations. It's not just masking it or waiting for that next thing to happen. You are a high-functioning team. Remember back to a time when you had a high-functioning team. Do you want to go back there? Or if you've never had it, do you want to go there? And there's a way to do it. Come along with me on this journey. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.